You're live.
Good. Okay, so if you can go to this website, mrwolbert342.weebly.com. That's my actual site.
Not ZWOLB?
No, not that one.
You can hit that one and then just go
Yeah.
to tab and hit EDU 342 class and then another link.
Yeah, it's a little more confusing. Is everyone here?
No,
Not yet?
sorry.
If you go to the
At the top,
ZWolb
go to
one,
the
there's,
242.
yeah, the farthest.
And then website.
Yeah, click on website and it'll take you to this.
Yeah, it does. Hey, you need to send me the radio order in the next 30 minutes.
So is everyone here? Yes? Yes?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, we'll start. All right. So if you scroll down, you will see that the lesson objective for today is students will be able to describe Gustavo Gutierrez's liberation theology. So coming into this lesson, you would have already read a speech given by Gustavo Gutierrez, which would have given you a little bit of background. But since we're just jumping in today, I will have this Nearpod for you to sort of get you into it. So if you click on that, it'll take you to Nearpod, and I'll pull up the actual one. Okay. Oops.
Take you to the start.
Okay, so this is the you get a thumbs up if you're on and in. Okay, excellent. Okay, oops. All right, so Gustavo Gutierrez and liberation theology. So Gustavo Gutierrez was born in 1928, and he is still alive today. He was born in Lima, Peru, and has grown up there and lived there his whole life, so that's really shaped. He's a Dominican priest, a major theologian and thinker. He was a key player in the Medellin Conference, which we would have already talked about in this class. You would understand what that means. And he's also the liberation theology. So, a liberation perspective on faith and theology. What does it mean in this way? So, what Gutierrez said in his speech was that faith is actually an action. One does faith, doesn't really believe in faith, it's do. And so theology, is thought or reflection, should be secondary to any act of charity. And when he references charity here, he's talking about an act of faith, hope, and love, not really just like the poor. So charity is a bit deeper than you would actually think about normally. So central issue is charity, commitment, action for justice in the world. And when we reflect on these first order realities, we have what Gutierrez calls theology, a second order reality. It used to be the other way around in the church, as we talked about before Vatican II. The church really saw itself as a hierarchy, and everything was pushed towards, the other world, getting to heaven, and it really didn't focus on the world at all. So if you can answer this question real quick, I'll just. Yes. Okay. So Gutierrez argued that we should move towards an action reflection. So that's why faith do the action, and then we reflect on that action, and then we move forward from there. Does someone want to read this first quote for us? Volunteer? Yes.
Of the theology of liberation means, therefore, to ask about the meaning of this work on earth. When begin beings perform in the world the faith. In other words, what relationship is there between the construction of this world and salvation?
What Gutierrez is talking about here is that we need to focus on what's going on the earth, and focus on the people around us in our community. And so this really drives liberation theology, is focusing on the poor and the vulnerable here on earth. And so he says that, but often Christians with their gaze fixed on the world beyond manifest little or no commitment to the ordinary life of human beings. Now remember, he's saying this just right after Vatican II. So really the church is going through some changes that's trying to get to this place where they're focused on what's going on earth. But as we recall in Mississippi Corpus Christi, we as a church had a focus of the other world and not the life of human beings. By drawing from Gaudium et Spes and Populorum Progressio, which we covered earlier this week, Gutierrez builds his argument, whatever humanizes, divinizes. So that's really important to think about. He says that everything which makes a person more human and contributes to human liberation contains the value of salvation and communion with God. So just think about that for a moment. Everything that makes a human more of a human and less of an object, someone outcast from society, helps them live a better life, actually gets us closer to God. And so he believes that salvation is equal to integral development. So when we perform integral development, as we talked about, we achieve salvation. And so remember that integral development is developing every single part of a person, whether that's spiritual, physical, even material-wise. So making sure that they are living a great life all around. So we have another question. Well, it's 2 words. Yeah. Sorry.
Answer's definitely wrong.
That's right.
I put it in for a humorous.
I would spend more time on this if I had some. To answer, we'll just move on. Had you had a background in more integral development, you would have been able to answer that real quick. So, but I understand we're kind of jumping into the middle of things here, and that's okay. So finally, does someone want to read this quote for us?
Therefore, the Messianic promises bind tightly together the kingdom of God and better living conditions for human beings, or as a 6th said, more human living conditions. An intimate relationship exists between the kingdom and the elimination of poverty and misery. The kingdom comes to suppress injustice.
Okay, so basically, Gutierrez here is referring to Populorum Progressio, which we talked about yesterday in class, and just saying that by bringing about more human living conditions, we can bring the kingdom of God, which is really the ultimate goal of liberation theology, is bringing about the kingdom of God. And so that's what we're going to be discussing the rest of probably the next class. But All right, so that, oh, there's one more question. This can be really short, like one sentence. If you get in your final answers. All right, cool. So that ends the Nearpod. So if you can go back to the website. Next, we are going to do some stations. So there's going to be 2 stations here. We'll just split the room in half. So we'll kind of split it this way. This half will work on their own to begin with, and this half will do, actually, no, we'll just go down here. That's more even. And this half will do a small group discussion together with me. So we'll move the desks. But I just want to explain this real quick. So on our own right now, we'll be watching a short ed puzzle and reading an article. And I realize we're short on time, so you won't get through all of it. And then the other half of the class will be a small group discussion, and then we'll switch. Okay, so right there on those buttons, and then we'll work over again.
2 minutes. Can we get 2 minutes to just see how they do in the station? Just
Yeah,
take a sample?
sure.
Okay.
Okay, so can just.
I do have it.
Yeah. If
They
it's
can
2
just
minutes,
listen to it silently. Yeah, just kind of.
just listen to it quietly. That's what I'm told. So normally we would move the desks, but if we're just doing 2 minutes, I would be doing a discussion on your thoughts of the homework from last night, but obviously you guys didn't have that, so we're just gonna kind of talk about your thoughts on liberation theology as a whole. Remember, that's what Gutierrez is arguing for, is really the betterment of humanity and the poor. So anyone have thoughts to share on that? I think it's great.
Especially in a world where we have a lot of people making decisions that like good for us, but can have a negative effect on other people. It's a chance for us to reflect on our actions and how they affect the world around us.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Any others? I think that's probably about 2 minutes.
So you just read this.
Is the ed puzzle and article working? Yeah, okay.
If you didn't, unless you have one more thing to add.
They were just gonna switch in the hours.
That's good. Yep, I think we can. I just, you got the transition when you had to go from the one to the other, so that's perfect.
So you're
You
gonna
guys
have
look
more.
good. So you guys can get feedback there.
Thanks.